An immense honour, Volodymyr Zelensky says as he meets Pope Francis in Rome, while Italian Prime Minister Meloni and President Mattarella pledge further support for Ukraine.
Ukraine insists its forces have made significant gains around Bakhmut, with President Zelensky saying Russians are mentally prepared for defeat. In Turkey, President Erdogan's political future is on the line, with polls putting a Social Democrat opponent in the lead ahead of Sunday's vote.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has met with Pope Francis at the Vatican, telling the pontiff it was a great honour. The meeting on Saturday comes during Zelensky's visit to Rome, where he also met Italian officials. The pontiff has previously offered his efforts to try and end the war that Russia began with its invasion of Ukraine a year ago. Before the meeting at the Vatican, Zelensky was with the Italian Prime Minister. Giorgia Meloni has promised Italy's full support to Ukraine in its efforts to repel Russia's, quote, brutal and unjust aggression. Since the war began, Italy has donated around €1 billion in military and financial aid, as well as humanitarian assistance. Zelensky began his official meeting with President Sergio Mattarella at the presidential Quirinale Palace. Mattarella assured his guests that Italy would continue supporting Ukraine. Volodymyr Zelensky will then travel to Berlin on Sunday as the leader seeks to shore up more support from key allies against Russia's full-scale invasion.
Helmet camera footage, Ukraine says, is of its special forces gaining territory on the outskirts of Bakhmut in the east. Kyiv says they've advanced 2 kilometers in a week around the destroyed city, but there's still no clear evidence of a full Ukrainian counter-offensive. In Russian-occupied Luhansk, there were 2 explosions on Friday. Moscow said Ukrainian-made missiles hit administrative buildings of 2 defunct enterprises. Ukraine claims that Russia continues to concentrate its efforts on offensive preparations in the country's industrial east, showing the devastation of the town of Marinka in the Donetsk region. Ukraine's president told his people the occupiers were mentally prepared for defeat. Volodymyr Zelensky will meet his Italian counterpart on Saturday at the start of his visit to Rome.
Hello. Roll. And 1, 2, 1. It's all inside and all of the rifles.
Israel and Gaza militant groups have agreed to an Egyptian-mediated ceasefire that will start at 10 p.m. local time. The agreement of the parties involved was confirmed by an Egyptian security official and a Palestinian source close to the talks. Israel's anti-aircraft defences went into action after a barrage of rockets fired from Gaza during the funeral of an Islamic Jihad military commander who was killed the previous day in an Israeli attack. The Islamic Jihad group said it fired back in retaliation. The clashes have left around 33 people dead since Tuesday.
Turkey's president upped the ante at the end of the campaign on the eve of a decisive election. Recep Tayyip Erdogan said he will defend independence, just as he did on the night of the 2016 coup attempt, and warned his conservative supporters of the price to pay and possible reprisals if his rival comes to power. Most put the Republican Party's leader Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu in the lead. The 74-year-old Social Democrat could put an end to 2 decades of rising authoritarianism under the Islamic president. In response to fears that he might make a handover of power difficult after 20 years in government, Erdogan has said that if he loses, he will respect the result and hand over power in accordance with the rules of democracy. 64 million voters, including 6 million first-timers, are eligible to vote in Sunday's election.